Live from Kansas City, we welcome race fans, one and all, back to Green Flag TV, where this afternoon we are set to do battle once again here in the Prairie States. Welcome to the home of the Hollywood Casino and, of course, to the Kansas Speedway here in the Kansas State. My name is Little Ben. We'll bring you all of racing action from start to finish here for round 6 of the For the Boys Racing League presented by Elite Performance Industries. So we get set to fight our way further and further through this ever-tightening championship here this afternoon. Of course, this one has been a bit of a wild one. One of the best races we've had all season long came just last week at the Chicagoland Speedway. Plenty of action there to throw the running order up and into the air as we look set to work our way into racing action here this afternoon. The championship standings shake up a little something like this. Aaron Smith still remains atop the points boards, 18 points clear of Matt Press for EPI. And from there, John Nichols sitting a good distance back down to number 3. This is, of course, after drop weeks have been factored into the point standings as well. So things still remain nice and tight at the top of the boards, albeit quite the gap now forming between second and third place, as well as between 5th and 6th, with Daniel Moynihan almost 50 points outside of the top 5. Moynihan, meanwhile, is tied with Samuel Fontaine entering tonight's race. Now, this one will be a battle won out by Fontaine this time around, as, Moynihan not present this afternoon. So, Daniel Moynihan and his Subaru will have to watch this one from the outside looking in. Brandon Burkhardt and Brendan Marr also tied for 8th and 9th. Both of them are present here this afternoon. Right now, they are the lone 2 drivers that have not put down a qualifying lap. Not for lack of trying from Brandon Marr. He attempted 2 laps, and both laps were invalidated, so he is not going to be able to get a time on the boards this afternoon. So that takes us around to the Kansas Speedway proper. It is a track that is well known for its high-speed nature and all of the trials and tribulations that can be thrown up. It is regarded as one of the most dangerous mile and a halves of the NASCAR calendar, with the amount of monster incidents that we've had here. Will we get any of those this afternoon? That is, of course, the big-ticket question. My money, honestly, betting probably not. We only have 13 cars this afternoon. These guys are pretty good and keeping it relatively clean. But with 110 degrees Fahrenheit of track temp to contend with, you can best bet that these guys are going to be in here for the long haul this afternoon. So all of that will look to take us in and around to racing action here this afternoon, as the final seconds of qualifying are just drawing to a close. And it will not be long before we will look to see who will start where. 133 laps, just shy of 200 miles will be the distance for us here this afternoon. And they will line up like this as we roll out from pit road. Starting on pole position here this afternoon, it is going to be none other than the PT Autosport Yellow Vision number 70 of Aaron Smith up at the head of the field. Started alongside him in his best qualifying effort we've seen so far all season. It's Ken Campbell. He is only 10 thousandths of a second off of the front row. From there, moving on back into row number 2, it's going to be Jason Dalton, the KJD2 driver, starting down in 3rd place alongside Chris Stutz with the Frostfire Installations number 17 Chevy Impala. He will line it up back in 4th. Row number 3 then, it's Samuel Fontaine in the Pepsi number 88. He starts alongside Matt Press with the EPI number 99 Dodge Charger down in 6th. Row 4, bringing it up for Chuck Sweeting down in 75. He starts 7th, just a 10th of a second off of the pole sitter, alongside the Rad Hangs number 41 of John Nichols. Row 5 then, it's Donald Castillo for PFD Motorsports. He'll start down in the number 9 spot alongside Larry England in his Charger back in 10th. 11th place, it's going to be Colin Savage with the Misfit Mafia F2BRL number 13 Chevy Impala. He starts almost half a second out in the last car to put down a qualifying lap. The Nitro Racing number 8 of Brandon Burkhardt starts in 12th. The first driver not to put down a qualifying lap. He is joined by the likes of Brendan Marr. Took 2, failed on both. The EPI number 51 will roll out 13th and last on the grid this afternoon. Well, this race promises to potentially be a quick one here this afternoon if all goes according to plan, but when does that ever happen, right? So often we see wrenches being thrown into the mix. Now the question is, will we be getting something similar here this afternoon? Well, the field's going to roll out from pit road. Again, a good 200-mile run, just shy of it, 133 laps. This race expected to have stints around the 40-lap mark, so probably going to be about, I say that, who knows, probably maybe a 2-stop race. If I had to guess this afternoon, might be 3, though. We'll see how this is going to pan out. Well, the field going to work their way through turn numbers 3 and 4, and we are happy that you are joining us here for more racing action on this fantastic Sunday night. As the IRC pace car going to pull down and into pit road, and it'll be in the hands of Aaron Smith, who will lead us in to the restart zone. Green flag is out. It's go, go, go from Kansas Speedway. Well, not a good launch from Ken Campbell as Campbell goes up to the high side. And, well, now he's going to pull alongside Aaron Smith for the top spot. Chris Stitz starting to make some progress as well. Campbell at the moment looked like he was going to come under heavy fire from Jason Dalton, but he has rallied back in turn 1 this time by, and just like that, Campbell through to the front. All 13 cars took all but one took the green flag. We are down to just 12 cars to kick off racing action this afternoon. Campbell maintaining his run as Samuel Fontaine catches the outside wall. Now Matt Press going to look to put them 3 wide down the front straightaway into turn number 1. Chris Stitz maintaining his momentum up on the high side. Before Jason Dalton holding strong on the low side. Matt Press looking to fight his way through as well. Samuel Fontaine sits just behind the driver in the number 88 machine. Up to the outside line. He's going to slap the outside wall once again. Well, it's known as an outside heavy racetrack. Not today, it seems. Everyone has favored that inside line. A few times Fontaine's tried the top. He's gone into the wall. Out of turn 4, both attempts. Chuck Sweeting, though, going to see if he can potentially open up that outside lane, find some momentum to work with up on the outside. So he's going to continue to try to battle it out here. You can see that delta ebbing and flowing as he comes off of 4. Had to lift a little bit more than he might have liked, though, coming out of 4. That disrupts his momentum and leaves him potentially vulnerable to attack from behind from Brendan Marr. Top of the field, Jason Dalton started up on the second row. Now he has slipped all the way back to 7th into the back half of the field as John Nichols gets by down on the inside. Cruising along through turn numbers 1 and 2. Campbell continuing to make tracks up front, now pulling almost half a second clear from Aaron Smith. Again, Smith, like we talked about last week at Chicagoland and at Texas before that, we know that Smith is a driver that loves to save tires in the early run, but that relies on this race going pretty darn green to the end. So I guess the question now for Smith is, will he get that green flag run that he's hoping for so he can rally back when everyone has burned their equipment up? For now, he is double file with Chris Stitz down to the turn numbers 3 and 4. Matt Press waiting just in the wings. He wants to go up and get onto the podium as well. Stitz clears. Smith falls back to 3rd now. Matt Press right behind. And the number 99 Charger looking for a way to get through, but there isn't one open to him right now. Inside lane sure does seem like the place to be right now as the field getting a little bit crossed up coming out of turn numbers 3 and 4. Brendan Marr tried to attack Chuck Sweeting for the 8th place spot. No room open to him though. Meanwhile, you're right on board with Samuel Fontaine as he pulls to the inside of Matt Press. Press having to lift out of turn number 2. Oh, almost made a contact there between Fontaine and Press in the battle for number 4. Press ebbing and flowing as these two remain side by side down the front straightaway. Gradually losing a little bit of time up to Aaron Smith at the head of the field. Still, Press remains alongside with the number 88. Oh, getting a little bit tight coming out of turn number 2 there. Down the back straightaway. They're able to keep it out of each other only just. Press clears Fontaine coming down to the turn number 3. Now Fontaine bobbles off the bottom and he nearly wipes out John Nichols. From offense to defense for the number 88 as John Nichols gets around him up high. From behind, Brendan Marr finally attacking the bottom of Chuck Sweeting. Sweeting trying to play defensive immediately goes all the way up to the outside wall to attempt to retain. Oh, man. Oh, travel back straight away. Around goes Chuck Sweeting. Spins to the inside. Caution comes out on lap 13 as Sweeting and Castillo come together. Ken Campbell will lead the way as the pace car comes out. Now the big question here is, are drivers going to be coming down for fuel? And if so, will they take tires with them? Fuel, I would imagine, yes. Tires, well, that's a solid maybe. They are 14 laps in, so they've been going at it for a good bit. Possibility is certainly there. Here they are coming off of turn number 4. Ken Campbell's going to come in. Top 2 coming in. Smith stays out. Press stays out. So does Nichols. So a split decision then. 8 cars come in. 4 stay out. Smith, Press, Nichols, and Savage decided they wanted to come down to pit road. Jason Dalton has just been black flagged for speeding on pit road. Unfortunate for him. While everyone else takes 4. Right, so this is going to be a real interesting restart then. Same for Jason Dalton, who took fuel only, as a matter of fact. So even more interesting call from Dalton. Well, take a look on what happened here. This is coming on to the back straightaway. Chuck Sweeting and Donald Castillo getting a little bit tangled up here. Brandon Marr also on the inside. Castillo just going to track up. Not clear. Looks to 75, and around they go. Spinning down to the inside of the racetrack on this one. Castillo did a pretty good job to keep it off the... I guess they both did a good job to keep it off the inside wall there. Not wanting to take any major risks, I suppose. Can't say I blame them. Being this early on. high-speed spin and on the back straightaway. That could have easily been a lot worse than it ended up being. Light damage with both of them. I'm sure they have taken the time to get those damages repaired and get themselves back onto the racetrack. So Aaron Smith leads the way. Matt Press to his outside. Then it's Nichols, Savage. Those are the cars that did not come down to pit road. Fifth on back are on fresh tires, with the exception of Jason Dalton and Brandon Burkhart, who both opted for fuel only. And in fact, Brandon Burkhart, a new addition to the racetrack, just joining us. He is now 14 laps down. He pops in under this yellow flag. I'm sure Burkhart wouldn't mind another yellow or two to try to get himself just a little bit closer to the lead lap, but the odds that he gets 14 in a row, well, slimmed it up. Pace cars up, green flags out. Once again, racing action commences. And problems for Samuel Fontaine as he jumps way to the outside, and one car way down onto the bottom. That's Larry Yingling. So there's been some kind of a problem off the hitch there for a few drivers. Battle is on, meanwhile, for third. And now we'll look to the outside. Matt Press seeking to go up and around the top side of the racetrack here. Going for the lead, and Press takes that one early on. Chris Stitz, though, on fresh tires. Here comes the 17. Trying to charge up top. Press blocks. Stitz goes down to the bottom. And no contest. Stitz blows the doors off as he cruises on through. Take a look at the restart here. Coming down towards turn number 1. This is a very weird restart. So the 13 jumps up top pretty much immediately, and I think Colin Savage may have had an issue there. He was on old tires, remember, and then, oh, wow, Brandon Marr got into it big time with Fontaine. That's why Yingling was down on the apron trying to avoid a collision. He did a good job in doing so. So Campbell is cleared for second on fresh tires. Matt Press has gotten around Aaron Smith. Now John Nichols trying to fight off Brendan Marr. Marr is also on fresh rubber here. Aaron Smith with a big bobble coming out of turn number 2. That's going to let John Nichols get down his inside as well. There goes Brendan Marr into third around Matt Press. Chuck Sweet, the next driver, is going to try to launch around these guys. Well, John Nichols isn't hanging around, is he? As he looks at the inside of Matt Press, wanted to go for the top for another spot. For the top spot, Ken Campbell drives around Chris Stitz, makes short work of him for the lead. Nichols going to clear Press, while Sweeting, Castillo, and Yingling all going to have to try to find their way around up top. Donna Castillo, who was just turned sideways in the back straightaway not even 10 laps ago, started the drive back to the front on all that fresh rubber that he's now gotten as a result of that yellow. Well, John Nichols gets away from Castillo. He's going to hold up Yingling, though, preventing Yingling from making it easy, trying to get back up to Castello. The road, Nichols into the wall. John Nichols going to back out of that one, and he is going to drop towards the tail. So right now, John Nichols, the furthest driver up on fresh tires in this field, and ironically, the guys that are all auto tires are actually one of the closer fights we got in the field so far still. Now, the caveat to this is drivers like Press, Nichols, and Smith are going to be able to come down way earlier than everyone else to get their fresh tires in. But how much time would they lose before they get the chance to come down pit road is, I think, the worrying fact right now. Campbell continues to lead the way. And right behind him is Chuck Sweeting, trying to hold back Donald Castillo. Chuck Sweeting still with some left side damage and no doubt getting some flashbacks, with Castillo looking for his inside. They've come to blows once today already. You don't want to be that guy that causes a secondary scuffle. Further behind, John Nichols, Press, and Smith still going at it as well. And the fresh versus old tires causing some pretty big separation. Smith going to keep trying to fight his way up there to Matt Press, but it's just so difficult to be able to make that overtake here. Usually you can try to sling one down the inside, but when your opponent's also pinning it on the bottom, well, outside for an overtake doesn't tend to work all that much in these types of race cars. You do hear Aaron Smith lift just a little bit, so he may be saving some fuel. Now he is going to try to go top, and how about that? Making me eat my words as he gets the nose in there but forced to lift out of turn 2. John Nichols just ahead of them, starting to go at it as well as Aaron Smith looks poised to go up and around the outside of Matt Press. Can he get the nose in? Yes, he has this time by. Smith is in. Now can he get through? Catching and passing, two different things, a mantra that has been spoken time and time again throughout the motorsport world. Whoa, John Nichols with a big slide. Coming out of turn numbers 1 and 2. That lets Matt Press open up the door down low. John Nichols up top. Smith going to try to put them 3 wide, and he gets boxed out. And John Nichols just finds a hole to tuck in line with Matt Press. He wants to try and go for the over-under. But call me crazy, I don't think he's realistically going to have much of an opportunity for that. Oh, John Nichols now pulling way to the inside and quickly letting Aaron Smith through up top. I think Smith may finally be turning the wick up here as he's going to cut to the inside of Press, trying to get through. Up front, Dominic Castillo in a battle with Chuck Sweeting again. This time a wide berth given. Castillo gets through. Now Smith battling with Chuck Sweeting here as he will once more look for the inside. Matt Press down on the inside of the racetrack. Gonna clear from Aaron Smith as... Oh, will he? No, he will not. Aaron Smith driving back around the outside once again, putting them side by side down the backstretch and into 3. Smith forced to yield. He cuts in, but look at the massive run that he gets out of turn 4. Going to get that drive back around the outside of Matt Press. Tucks right to the back of the EPI Dodge. But looking like finally this fight may have been brought to its close. Or has it? He's got a run here coming through 4. He's going to look low, but he lifts as Press cuts the nose off. Stellar fight these two are having it right behind them. We see John Nichols has been reeling these guys in, but he's into the wall that time out of 4, or out of 2. That'll cost him some precious momentum. Other battles elsewhere on the racetrack, while Castillo maybe pulling away from Yingling. From Sweeting. Sweeting has Yingling starting to close in from behind as well. So Donald Castillo may be in for another fight here if Larry Yingling can get around Chuck Sweeting. Smith trying to go up and around the outside line. Press continuing to fight him off down low, but Smith continues to just get run after run after run. And again! Just boxes in the PT Autosport number 70. Looking high, looking low, can't find a way around him. Larry Yingling, meanwhile, up front, he's going to look to drive around Chuck Sweeting and put Larry Yingling into 5th. He's now up 5. Well, these two remained engrossed in a fierce dogfight. Aaron Smith continuing to hound the back of the 99, refusing to give him even an inch of breathing room. Gonna back up the corner bit at 3 and 4. Might be trying to get some space, kind of rebuild that momentum. It wouldn't be a bad idea, and it's an idea that has worked for Smith in the past elsewhere. If he can't get through now, back it up. let the tires cool, get your momentum back, and then try again. These guys now about half a lap behind Ken Campbell, which is the difference in about 30 laps on 13-lap older tires. It's a pretty hefty pace differential that'll swing back the other way when these guys do eventually come down pit road, but that's the question. When do they do that? Colin Savage is in right now. He was one of the drivers that did not pit under the lap 13 yellow. Neither the 99 or the 70 are coming in yet. But if I'm Smith, I'm starting to think about undercut. Savage back out onto the racetrack as Preston Smith continue to battle it out. This right now one of the only battles for position on the racetrack, and it has been a hotly contested one for some time. As Smith, try what may, has been unable to find a way around the Elite Performance Industries Charger in front of him. Got some run off the top side, though, this time by. It looks low. Press shuts the door in his face, coming down to the turn 3, though. Bit further up the road, Donald Castillo. We talked about how he might have a battle with Larry Yingling on the horizon if he can't keep the pace up. Well, he has been keeping the pace up. Right now, it seems about 0.3 a lap slower than Yingling that last time by. Samuel Fontaine may have had an issue as he is into pit road, and he's got some damage on the right-hand side. He is in pit road now, so we'll look what happened to Fontaine. Coming down the front straightaway, or out of turn 4 here. He's got Brandon Burkhardt right behind him. Coming down to pit road, so he was in for a scheduled stop. Oh, but he just lost the back end. Spun around. Caution did not come out because he was in a relatively safe spot. The leaders were not coming up on him, so no yellow flag for that spin coming off of 4. Smith and Press continuing to put on one heck of a battle. Coming around to the turn numbers 1 and 2. There is Fontaine out of pit road and back onto the racetrack. Kind of going top to bottom through the field. Ken Campbell still leads the way. Chris Stitz down in second. Marr in third. Castillo holding on to fourth. Lee Yingling in fifth. Sweeting in sixth. Preston Smith still fighting for P7 on the racetrack. John Nichols down to ninth. Jason Dalton, the last car on the lead lap, back in 10th. Colin Savage, after his pit stop, sits 2 laps down. He just came to the road about 7 laps ago. Sammy Fontaine is now 3 laps down, as he had a black flag to serve for an unsafe pit entry due to his spin on entering pit road. Brandon Burkhardt, last car on the racetrack, he runs back in P11. 14 laps down for Burkhardt. Unfortunately for him, he was not able to make the start of this race, and that is why we see him so far off the pace. Speaking of off the pace, Aaron Smith looking like he started to drop back from Matt Press. So we'll focus on a battle that's been closing for a little while. There, Yingling trying to chase down Donald Castillo just in front of these guys. So it would be a fight between Yingling and Castillo, and they have been getting relatively closer the last little while. See, usually Castillo quicker by just a touch, but every odd lap, Larry Yingling will reel in several tenths at a time, and I think he's caught the draft now. Aaron Smith going for the undercut as he is going to pull the trigger and break up the game of chicken between Preston Smith on who wanted to pit first. I was mentioning I'd be thinking undercut if I was Aaron Smith and just not able to find a way through. He should be able to get by pretty easily with this, provided he doesn't completely botch his pit exit here. All the way at the head of pit road. He's not the only one in. Brendan Marr is in just a little ways behind as well. Smith's in, Smith's out. There's Brendan Marr. Right behind him is Matt Press. So this pit stop, a critical one for the EPI number 99 as he tries to keep Aaron Smith behind him in the midst of the pit stop cycle. Smith's coming through 3 and 4 right now. Will Press beat him out? Here comes Aaron Smith down into towards turn number 1. Can he beat back Matt Press? There he goes, just clears him coming out of pit road. So Smith's ahead, but not by much. John Nichols will come down to pit road, as will Chuck Sweeting. And Jason Dalton makes his trip in as well. Dalton and Sweeting now both down into pit road. When does Ken Campbell make the move? This stint would be able to put Campbell past the halfway mark, I believe. He's about to start lap 60 here this afternoon. 4 cars have entered the racetrack, those 4 being Campbell, Stitz, Yingling, and Castillo. All of which are on the same pit strategy right now. Few cars looking to unlap themselves. Colin Savage is among them as he's trying to run these guys down to the lap himself, but so is Samuel Fontaine, who is right behind Colin Savage. Brandon Burkhart comes down for his first stop of the afternoon. And this is his first official stop as well. As remember, he did not join this race until during the lap 13 caution. Chris Stitz makes the stop to pit road, and Castillo has spun on the entry. A big mistake for Donald Castillo, as he is going to be black flagged for speeding on entry as well, just to add salt to the wound. Take a look at what happened. Just locked her up on the way in as he was way too hot. And that is going to ruin Donald Castillo's race. "70 laps to go, so if you can only go about 45 to 50, you are not making it to the end of this race. You've got to stop one more time. So this race is still very much a two-stopper. Only two cars now on the lead lap. Those being Campbell and Yingling, who both have yet to stop. There's Brendan Marr charging his way through. He pitted about 8 laps ago. He is going to become the net race leader now as he unlaps himself in third. Well, now here's the catch. You got guys like Chris Stitz that are chasing down the likes of Chuck Sweden and Matt Press here. So several spots are now up for grabs, and it's going to be a bit of a mad dash before drivers are able to get through some of the fresher tires versus the old tire battles here. As you see, just a gaggle of cars on the racetrack. Press continuing to hold on against Sweeting and Stitz, but he can only do so for so long as Stitz gets through on 7-lap pressure tires. Well, Stitz around the outside, and he's going to make short work of Matt Press. Halfway point is looming in racing action here this afternoon. We're going to take ourselves a quick step back, and when we return, racing action continues on Greenflight TV. We'll go side by side. You won't miss a moment. Stay tuned.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV, where racing action continues on for the Kansas Speedway. The new Gen 4 car debuts this coming Saturday as SRA kicks off more action on the brand new series, the SRA Gen 4 Championship. As well as that, make sure to check out the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Series with their second race in New Hampshire Motor Speedway this Saturday as well as the debut of the FTR Events Trophy.ai GT Endurance Series with GT3, GT4, and touring car machinery coming at you from the Shell V-Power Motorsports Park at The Bend. All of this and more coming up with almost daily action on Green Flag TV. Saw the leaders come down pit road under this under that break as John Nichols has now run ahead of Blair Yingling and Jason Dalton. Three-way battle for 7 started to develop as you still see a lot of drivers here on significant tire advantages right now. Yingling and Campbell, the two drivers on the freshest tires. They are the fastest cars on the grid right now as Yingling clears Nichols for 7th place. 9 cars remain on the lead lap. Brandon Marr is currently leading the way, the EPI number 51 as he comes out of turn at number 4. Chris Stitt's about 2 seconds down the road, running in the number 2 spot. Stitt's on about an 8-lap tire advantage on Marr, but I've been keeping my eyes on Campbell because Campbell is on quicker runs with the both of them, and troubles for Brandon Burkhart as Burkhart has cooked one down in pit road. He pitted back several laps ago, as a matter of fact. And it looks like he forgot to turn the motor off, so it has expired, and the Nitro Racing number 8 crew will get to have some s'mores down into the number 8 pit. Well, the racing tonight remains exciting as always, as we have been having a pretty good show of things, all things considered. Bit of a light field tonight, not quite the 20-car grids we've been used to seeing the last few weeks. I know a couple of drivers are currently away, as there goes Ken Campbell getting around Chris Stitz. That was for number 2 on the racetrack. Hunter Bogdan in the number 86 made his debut last week. He was set to be here this afternoon, but, well, he has spent his afternoon at Watkins Glen International for the NASCAR Cup Series race. It's been a pretty wild run of racing, especially on the NASCAR side of things over at the Glen. Of course, the controversy between Zilich and Shane Van Gisbergen, as well as more controversy involving Austin Hill and Michael McDowell, and a massive pile coming out of the carousel. And of course, Connor Zilich with his injury after he took a pretty nasty spill in Victory Lane. Broke his collarbone, but he was in good spirits. He said he's hoping to be back to getting into the cars soon. That, of course, was in the Real World NASCAR Xfinity Series. For the For the Boys Racing League, though, this afternoon, Ken Campbell is starting to make some progress. Is he going to take to the inside of Brandon Marr? And the EPI 51 gets arrow pushed up the hill. Campbell is through, and once again, he retakes the lead. You know, Ken Campbell had quite a rocky start. Finished 1 lap down, 12th place. Back at the Echo Park Speedway to kick off the season, but he's had quite the resurgence since then. The week after, finished runner-up by 3 seconds to John Nichols at the Auto Club Speedway. That was courtesy of pretty genius playing of the fuel strategy. Took home a 6th place at Texas Motor Speedway, 15 seconds off pace, again courtesy of some beautiful gamesmanship from Aaron Smith, who stole the win in that one. Last week at Chicagoland, finished 4.8 seconds outside of the top spot. Came home 3rd. looking to take that elusive top step of the podium here this afternoon. And, well, as time continues on, you'd be hard-pressed to convince me that he doesn't have a win in his very, very near future. Action around the track has cooled off for now. We have we talked a good bit about what's going on this coming Saturday, but that doesn't mean you don't got action elsewhere. The High Tide Racing Lingardi Premier Series having a pretty exciting playoff run with a wild finish that saw Sean Williams take his first win of his 50th start this past week at Talladega. They swing out to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin for round number 17 in the second race in the round of 12. That'll be at Road America coming on up this Monday. The day after, Oma Sorrell takes to the desert as they'll be racing at Avondale, Arizona at the Phoenix Raceway for race number 5. The Beer League is off this weekend. Or not this week, this coming Wednesday. They will not be racing with us. They got their off-week shenanigans, as is tradition in the middle of the season. What will be present, though, will be the Premier Sim Racing Sim Game Expo Truck Series, and they will be at the Richmond Raceway for the Scherf Racing Designs 140 at Richmond. It's a Richmond week. Triple header at Richmond, in fact. As PSR goes to Richmond, so does the Average Joe's Sim Racing League on Thursday night for the 67 Sports 140. And, in fact, the Highline Diecast Collectible Speed Cup Series that same night on Thursday for the Aga Speedway Volunteers 140. So 340 lap races back to back to back. That is uncanny, if you ask me. And then after all the trips on Sunday with a triple header coming at you, the Classic IndyCar Series is back for more. Next Sunday at the Kentucky Speedway, they are coming off of their summer break. The Blazing Bells ARCA Series will be back for more as well, I do believe. They will be at the Milwaukee Mile, and then so will the For the Boys Racing League. They will be back for more action as well this coming Sunday, next week. It'll be the Michigan 200, a 100-lap race around the legacy layout of the Michigan International Speedway. Aaron Smith just came down pit road for 4 tires and fuel. He is not the only one. Chuck Sweeting came down as well. These guys are now good to go the distance. If you pit now, you can go the rest of the way here on fuel. So now it is a mere question of who's going to pull the trigger when. Brandon Marr in pit road, and big problems for the driver that started at the back of the grid and was running in the lead of this race earlier on. Our third incident getting down onto pit road, as this time Brandon Marr goes sliding. A penalty as well for the driver of the number 51. And just like before, just lost the tail on the way in, kind of started to lock up the rears. A big slide on the way in, did a good job to keep it off the wall, but boy, from the outhouse to the penthouse and then straight back to rock bottom. Tough break for Marr, who started in 13th tonight. I think some drivers like Ken Campbell, they're going to be looking to try and split this run in half. That, or if you got a bigger gap, you're going to want to try to pit maybe a little bit later. Make sure that if you lose the lead, you have plenty of time to run that gap right back down. Current championship standings, Aaron Smith up on top still, but the gap would close to Matt Press. Now, this is before the rest of the drivers come down to pit road, so take those standings with a grain of salt. And in fact, we'll see how these standings will shake up as Matt Press just now hit pit road. Jason Dalton also coming down pit road this time by, as has Colin Savage. So far, only one caution on the day. That yellow flag came all the way back early in the race. It was on lap number 12 when the yellow flag flew. Let's take it back to lap 13 of this one. And this was what brought out the lone caution of the race early on as Castillo tracked out, took out Chuck Sweeting. They both spun to the inside of the racetrack, kept it off the inside wall, but it was enough to force a yellow flag. Since then, both drivers have bounced back somewhat. Donald Castillo, unfortunately, had his own incidents trying to get down to pit road. So he is right now situated 2 laps down, and Chuck Sweeting, he's been doing all right for himself. He's actually been looking to kind of cling on to the lead lap as time has gone along, as he runs now up in the 5th place spot. And this is after he's come down pit road, so he is looking set for a pretty good point scoring position. Sweeting's best run came at the Texas Motor Speedway, finished runner-up. It was the best he had done all season long before or since. And boy, after being spun for our lone yellow on the day, wouldn't he just love to find his way back to the podium. Chris Stitz hits pit road from 2nd. He'll go a lap down. He's not the only one. Race leader Ken Campbell coming in with 32 to go. Well, there goes Aaron Smith, as Smith is just overtaking Campbell around the outside. And going to build up a 4+ second gap. In fact, make it 5 seconds. So a bit of work for Campbell to do, but 30 laps to go. He's got time. You just got to remember that. Larry Yingling slowing up, and Yingling will come down pit road. That will settle pit stop. Save for Donald Castillo is yet to come down. Once Castillo is in, we will be going the distance. Chris Stitz leaning on the back bumper of Matt Press now. Eager to try and find a way through. Looks high, looks slow, no way through just yet, mirroring the battle Prest had with Smith earlier this race. But this time, Stitz quickly gets around him up top. Prest tugs in, may have thought about trying to go back at him, but there just wasn't the room for it. Stitz's next target just up the road. It's Chuck Sweeting on about 10 lap older tires, and Sweeting is going to be a sitting duck for Chris Stitz, who is running them down, and he is not the only one. Aaron Smith quickly being chased down as well by Ken Campbell, who is right now lapping about 9/10 of a second a lap quicker. Stitz breezes by Sweeting, and Matt Press going to try and do the same, but Press nearly gets into the outside wall. Nearly caught it there. Got to be careful with that. Press makes the look, and just like that, Sweeting is on the bubble of the top 5. Up front, the battle for the lead between Smith and Campbell. Campbell's gap closes down to 6.5 tenths. He is chasing win number 1 of his For the Boys Racing League career. Campbell goes around the outside of Aaron Smith and clears. He is chasing his 29th career-wide record in league racing in over 400 starts, according to his SimRacer Hub page. So Campbell going to start to drive away. Aaron Smith sitting just behind. At this point, just trying to maintain second place. Will that be a spot that can be maintained? We'll find out shortly. Let's ride on board here with Chris Stitz for a few laps as Stitz looks to try and run Smith down for number 2. Well, sure enough, it did not take long for Aaron Smith to be run down by Chris Stitz at the head of the field. Stitz right now trying to battle up to the back of Aaron Smith. Chris Stitz up and around the outside line of Aaron Smith and looking to easily take number 2 away from him. And the Crossfire Installations Incorporated number 17 Impala clears for second place. Well, where one battle closes up, another one is quick to kick off as Larry Yingling and Chuck Sweeney. In fact, this battle is separating as Yingling actually made the pass on Sweeney for number 5. This is how this pass took place. Just saw an opportunity and lunged down the inside and was able to pretty securely take away the number 5 spot. Chris Stitz, now running in the number 2 spot, has also had a pretty extensive career here on iRacing. He has been active in league racing since 2021, running the super late models. For the Crooked Line Racing League in their Monday Night Madness Championship. Since then, he has been around the block, so to speak. Most recently has been competing quite often with the World Series of Sim Racing Cup Series. 12 wins to his name, and while a win tonight might look a bit out of reach, you take the podiums where you can get them, right? And I mean, I'm sure he'll be more than happy with second place. It will be his first podium in a good long while here on the iRacing service. In fact, his first in over a year. The last one came on April 8th with the Full Send Racing Association over at the Kern County Raceway. So his highest scoring finish since April of last year. No doubt looking to be a good one. And I would be very, very happy with that result if I was him. 10 laps to go this time by at the stripe. Ken Campbell has been in complete control all day since taking over the lead. No doubt in my mind that his decision to come down pit road in the early portions under that lap 12 caution is what allowed for Ken Campbell to pull out with the lead. 10 laps to go at the stripe. Make it 9. And with the near 7-second gap, no one is close to catching him. 6 laps to go. No other battles remain on the racetrack. Ken Campbell again in complete control, and 8 cars remain on the lead lap. Jason Dalton seeing if he can finish on the lead lap, but at the rate that Campbell's been closing, I doubt he will. Biggest move of the day, the hard charger, will go the way of Larry Yingling as he is up a solid 5 positions in this race. Brendan Marr is up 4. Stitz and Press up 2, where the drivers are only up 1. When you look at the drivers that have been dominant today, Brendan Marr led a good chunk in the middle portions there, but Campbell has been the man to beat up front, took the lead early on, has led 100 of 129 laps so far. And he's not looking to let that number change out of his hands anytime soon. Has more than secured the points for leading the most laps in this race. Fastest lap of this one is, well, one that will still go to Brandon Marr. Good consolation prize as he currently holds the fastest lap with a 31.220, but he sits 1 lap down as a result of spinning out on the pit entry on the final pit stop cycle. A devastating error for the EPI 51, who now sits all the way down the field. Three laps the distance here. As Campbell going to look to put this one to bed. 2 more laps, 3 miles to go. Final lap. It'll be a 1 caution race. The yellow flag came out early on. And Campbell will battle his way around turn numbers 1 and 2 for the final time. He'll work into 3 and 4 in the Campbell's Company number 15 Chevy Impala. First win of his For the Boys Racing League campaign to the number 15 will get to stand atop the podium. A good, solid effort here this afternoon, and I'm sure he is very happy with that as the rest of the field comes across the line. There was Matt Press going sliding sideways over the stripe. A good run for Campbell as he burns it down to the front straightaway. Campbell will burn it down to the front straightaway, and he is going to be a very happy camper with this one here this afternoon. Controlled the race from start to finish, and well, We'll now get the chance to take a run down and look at who finished off where at the end of racing action tonight. It's Ken Campbell with his first For the Boys Racing League win, an even bigger day perhaps for Chris Stitz, his first podium in league competition since April 8th of 2024, according to a Simmers and Hub page at least. Aaron Smith comes home number 3, 9 seconds out. Matt Press back in 4th, with Larry Yingling in 5th. Chuck Sweeney in 6th. John Nichols, Jason Dalton, Brendan Marr, and Colin Savage close out the top 10. From there, it is Samuel Fontaine 2 down. Castillo finishes 3 down. Brandon Burkhardt, the lone driver to DNF from this race, entered 13 laps late to the party, and he'll finish 79 laps down. Well, that will close out racing action for us here then this afternoon, as we will look set to get a chit chat in here with the drivers that finished this race here on the podium this afternoon. We'll look to kick things off first and foremost with the man that finishes this one on the podium. It is Ken Campbell, finally taking on win number 1 of his For the Boys Racing League career. Ken, you were in complete control of this race from that first yellow flag. It was a pretty solid race for you. Couldn't have hoped for much better, save for a better qualifying run. Was that strategy to pit under that first yellow the one that won you this race?
Absolutely, and I have to credit my teammate Chris Stitz with that strategy. So first off, he found a couple of adjustments in the car that we both ended up liking, and so we both wanted to get in as early as we could to take those adjustments. And also, I think it was Auto Club. I ended up staying out, and that was not the play, and it put me in a bad spot for the rest of the race. And so it was like, okay, yeah, let's go in, get the adjustments, and go. And we were surprised that a lot of people didn't go in and follow us. And it was like, okay, well, we knew we were going to be faster with the adjustments. We knew we were going to be faster with tires. And so it's like, okay, just let those do the work and just kind of get out there and get out in the clean air and ride around for a while. But the downside of that was our one free set of tires. And so if there had been a caution basically at any point, then we were going to be in a lot of trouble. But these guys always race clean and green, and so we had confidence that it would stay green after that, and luckily for us, it did.
Kind of talk us through the overall game plan tonight. Obviously, you mentioned the adjustments going in. Do you care to lend any secrets to someone that might be curious?
Actually, it was just tire pressure. All we did was change some tire pressures here and there, and it tended to grip up a little bit better middle corner and exit. And without those, I was pushing a little bit in the middle, and then it would kind of snap loose on exit. And so we went in, fixed that, got a little bit of tape, and off to the races.
Well, with this win coming in big for you tonight, right, you're now up to 3 podiums, and you've gotten pretty much, ironically, one podium spot for each of your 3 now. You've kind of gone for the hat trick at this point. Which spot will it be next week on the podium? Will it be first, second, or third, do you reckon?
Where are we?
We are at Michigan.
Okay, I was going to say if it's a road course, then, negative points. But I usually do pretty well at Michigan. I did well at Auto Club, but that ended up being a fuel mileage race. But I definitely like the 2-milers. And so, I would love to go back-to-back, and I think we've got a good shot at it.
All right, well, we'll wish you the best of luck here this afternoon. Congratulations on taking a solid race drive here this afternoon, and we'll wish you the best of luck when we see you again next time around.
All right, appreciate it.
Ken Campbell comes home number 1 this afternoon, and we will move on down to Chris Stitz, the driver that comes home number 2. And Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe your first podium in a good long while, at least according to your Simmers Hub page, it's been since April 8th of 2024. So if it really has been that long, at least for league racing, this has got to be a big one for you tonight.
Oh gosh, has it really been that long?
That's what your page says, at least.
Oh gosh, yeah, that sounds about right. I usually be running like 1 league a week, so this is a different step for me, running 2 or 3. But oh, that's awesome.
Kind of talk us through the game plan tonight. Ken mentioned that he owes the strategy to you tonight for figuring out the tire pressure adjustments. How did you go about making those adjustments? Just figuring out what works, what doesn't?
Yeah, Ken and I, we've never really messed with the tire pressures beforehand up until tonight's race, and we were doing a lot of research before the race, and we joined practice as soon as it opened, and just were going on track, messing around with the left sides and the right sides a little bit, and we just found that it really rolled the center really well, and I think that helped us overall. And that huge, the one caution of the race, lap 13, I think that was the big strategy call tonight, was us taking tires and getting that fresh rubber. Without that, I don't think we would have. I mean, maybe we'd been up front, but I don't know if Ken would have won this thing and I would have finished second. We would have. I don't know. Just we were really banking on no caution, and no caution happened, and it worked out well.
So your best finish so far in the championship, and your best finish in a good long while, as a matter of fact. Are you going to be able to follow that up with another good result next week come Michigan?
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better, a lot more comfortable with this car. I usually have been running the Next Gen Cup car a lot, so this is a lot different of a ball game and a lot different strategies and with all the adjustments. So I think looking to the future, looking to repeat this, and maybe next time I'll beat Ken.
All right, we'll wish you the best of luck when we go racing next week. Congratulations on taking home number 2, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Chris Stitz comes home number 2 this afternoon. We'll move on down to the BT Autosport Yellow Division number 70. It is Aaron Smith coming home 3rd this afternoon. Smith, you're becoming quite the regular up here in the Green Flag TV broadcast booth post-race. This time, though, not a win, unfortunately, on the cards. It is a third-place finish. Obviously, you could probably trace things right back to the lap 12 caution where you stayed out. The other 2 guys that bested you pitted. If you had a second chance to do it all over, would you have pitted under that first caution flag now?
No, I still would have stayed out. That's the mistake I've been making in a lot of the races I've lost so far. We get these lap 13, lap 12 cautions, and then I stay out, and then we never get another one. So I had the speed to compensate for a lot of those guys who passed me on that run, but Ken was way too far out there. There wasn't much else I could have done after that point. I was begging for a caution, but we only had 12 cars left, so it was an unreasonable ask, but it was one worth making.
Oh, I mean, you never know. You can have. I've seen some wild things that are more wild than a 12-car field bringing another yellow flag out. But you come home 3rd place, right? It's still a very respectable finish considering what could have ended up being the case of like what happened to some drivers further down the field. Overall, one of the tamer races we've had this season. In fact, how did it fall for you?
Yeah, I was sitting well with Matt there in the first run, and I guess I got a better pit entry, and I was able to gain a few seconds on him, and didn't really see him again. I thought a few guys were having problems with some lap cars going into the pits, and I heard about that, and I was hoping they'd go back up on the track and bring me that caution I was looking for, but after that point, it was just sitting in no man's land, watching the guys with new tires fly by me, and I thought I was going to have another shot at Chris there in the last few laps, but yeah, I had a couple cars racing me there. I just couldn't get the power back down, and that was all she wrote for P3, but considering the circumstances, considering what happened last week, I'll take it.
Well, Michigan International Speedway is up next. It's the older legacy layout. Michigan has frequently proven itself to be an extremely unpredictable racetrack. What do you reckon is in store for you when we go racing next week in the Great Lakes State?
I hope it goes better than Auto Club did. I don't recall exactly what happened there, but I did seem to have the speed that I usually do, and hopefully I'll be able to get the strategy right as well. That's probably most of what'll get me the win next week, but yeah, hopefully things will line up a little better for me.
All right, well, wish you the best of luck when we go once again. Congratulations on taking home number 3, and we'll see you once again in Michigan.
All right, thank you.
Aaron Smith comes home number 3 this afternoon, and well, that is going to bring us to the end of racing action here this afternoon. A wild outing for us here, and no doubt more action still yet to come as well when we return for the For the Boys Racing League. Before we get to that, though, round 2 of the playoffs kicks off with the High Tide Racing League Guardian Premier Series. That'll be tomorrow night on Monday night from Road America. From then on, it's the OMSRO Gold Series presented by Sim Racer Hub. They will be at Phoenix Racing for race number 5. The beer league is off, but PSR is back and ready for more on Wednesday. And don't forget to check out our Richmond triple header. Start with PSR Wednesday night and cap it off with the AJSRL Series and the Speed Cup Series with a doubleheader over on Thursday night. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. My name is Little Red Bull. Thank you all so much for joining us for more racing action in the For the Boys Racing League. We'll see you all next week when we swing out to Michigan.